I did a consultation call 2 days ago that was very complex. It was a very complex set of facts where it's a case I was very interested in taking on and the client was very interested in retaining us. And it would ultimately be a pretty high dollar fee because it was a very complex set of facts. And I spent nearly 2 hours with the client over multiple phone calls because I want to make sure that I really understand what I'm getting into before I take on a case that large. And before the client spends a six-figure fee on legal fees, I want to make sure that he understands, what we're going to be doing and what we're about. And so that's a high transaction dollar amount. And it's a complex case for us. So in that particular case, we spent quite a bit more time. But typically we do a half an hour. It could be up to an hour, depending on the case and depending on how good of a fit it is. But I'm always going to give you as much time as your case warrants, not mean that in a bad way. But sometimes you can call me up. It can be a simple Article 15 matter, and I can give you very powerful advice in 10 minutes. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
So it sounds to me like it's not just one free phone call. It's however many consultations it takes to get the case going so that you can actually decide if you're going to accept it or not.
I typically know within the first phone call. I mean, I've been doing this 20 years. I know within pretty much the first phone call. There are occasions where I would do a second consultation, but that is the exception. So please understand that once you do a consultation with me, if we don't accept your case, then we don't accept your case. What I can't do is have 3, 4, 5 more calls, because what happens is people start wanting free legal advice. And I can't give legal advice until I'm retained, because what I can't do is hear 10, 15 minutes of information that you're providing. I don't know if it's accurate. I'm assuming you're being honest, give you advice. You rely on that advice, and maybe that wasn't in your best interest because we didn't have all the information. Then you go back and say, well, Tim Bilecki advised me A, B, C, or D. You are not going to get legal advice on a consultation call. No lawyer can ethically do that. What we're going to do is determine if it's a good fit, make sure you're pointed in the right direction. And there are certain cases where I can do multiple phone calls, but that is certainly the exception. If it's a really big case and I need to learn more about it, or the client needs to know more to bring us on board, I can do that, but that's the exception as opposed to the rule.